Hello, everybody, and welcome back to A Better Life with George and Steve. It is episode 6.
Episode 6. Welcome back, guys.
I can't believe episode 6, and I can't believe people say to us, when are you putting out the next episode? I think you're right. I think it does sound better than it used to.
Yeah, we did a little audio check right before hitting record, and I don't know, maybe it's just we're on a full stomach. We just ate some delicious pasta, meatballs. Steve, you just made some incredible meatballs. This was, what, 2 days ago?
We got lucky because I made them I shouldn't say lucky. I made them for a dinner I had to go to last night, and I got the flu. I'm really operating at half power today, and I'm just getting my strength back. So we had sauce and meatballs left over. Unfortunately, my glass is steamed up, and I actually poured the first batch of pasta down the sink, and George had to come in and rescue it from the abyss.
It was comical, these cooking follies, if you will. But pasta, every household does it different. Every household has a sauce recipe that perhaps has been tweaked for generations upon generations. And we were just talking while we're eating dinner together. Your sauce, it's tight. It's very rustic. It's got a lot of punch to it. I think it's something that you clearly can taste. It's been cooked down. And I enjoyed it a lot.
Thank you. I wish I could say it was my mother's recipe, but frankly, I don't know my mother's recipe, and that's my folly. This is half what I saw from my mother making sauce and half just a little bit of
your inspiration. What you felt.
I basically took onion, garlic, carrots, celery, went to put it in the food processor and realized I couldn't find it. So I put it in a blender and put a little olive oil and turned that sofrito into almost pulverized, and then took half and put it in the sauce pot and took half and put it in the meatball pot. And then just mix the meat in, use a little bread. I used really good white bread soaked it in milk. I may have added salt and pepper and a little dash of oregano. I would have added some Parmesan cheese, but I didn't have any. I thought I had some and it went bad, so I threw it out. And the sauce was DOP tomatoes that not the crushed kind, the full ones, and I break them up in my hands like my mother used to.
Old school, man. That's old school. Good stuff. Good stuff.
And it came out pretty good.
And the meatballs, you didn't mention egg, but there's got to be egg in there. You can tell.
There's egg in there.
You can definitely tell it had a souffle effect. It's nice and fluffy. It wasn't hard and dense. I like meatballs like that. So I'm very sensitive, and I tip my hat to you because I like meatballs that have that little souffle effect.
Now that we've talked about Italian food, tonight's show is basically going to be a trip to Japan.
How exciting.
I mean,
we've been waiting and talking about this episode for maybe the last four weeks, but it's your friend that went to Japan with her fiance. And
my good friend, Nicole and Ryan, my good friends, I've known Nicole since she was practically in grammar school. Her mother and her grandparents are very good friends of mine. And lo and behold, I saw these pictures on Instagram where she went to Japan and all kinds of cool places. And then she also got engaged. I'm sure she'll tell a little bit of that story. She gave me an outline, but she could talk about whatever she wants. So I didn't need the outline. And it's great. Perfect couple, a great guy, and they love food. So it's a perfect one for us. I am going to, if you're ready, George, I'll reach out to her.
Absolutely.
Okay. We have my good friends, George, Nicole, and Ryan. As I've discussed with you, they just recently came back from Japan. As Ryan and Nicole, George was born in Taiwan, raised in Japan. He hates when I say it. Expert in all kinds of Asian cuisine and cooking and travel and everything. This sounds like based on your photographs, it's such a perfect segue into something we're so interested to learn about. And so are our listeners, from what I understand when I tell them. So give us a little background. How did you get there in the first place?
Welcome, Nicole and Ryan. This is going to be fantastic.
Thank you for having us. We're so excited. Yeah, we did send over a whole bunch of stuff that we were going to talk about. And as Ryan and I started chatting about what we would actually talk about, we were like, this call could go on for 5-6 hours.
Don't worry about it. We could turn it. I could turn it into 2 episodes. Don't worry about
it. So I'll let Ryan talk about how we even got there.
Well, yeah. So starting off, Nicole and I had never been to Asia before, let alone Tokyo. So my coworker is Korean, and his then fiance was also Korean, and they were born in Seoul. And he invited Nicole and I to their wedding on September 3rd. And we knew, 6 months before then that we wanted to go, and we wanted to parlay that part of the trip into maybe seeing another part of Asia that we had never been to before. So Tokyo seemed like a good fit, given that we both love food and we both love cuisine and all the intricacies associated with it. So we went to the wedding. It was incredible. And then we made our way over to Tokyo, and we really planned the trip around food. And Nicole can talk about the food portion of it and how we did all the planning around that part of the trip.
Wow. Your first trip to Asia, and you hit Seoul and Tokyo.
Yeah, it was
very nice.
A trip. And honestly, the first of all, the wedding could be an entire conversation.
It looked at it for when I looked at the pictures, I had a million questions when I first saw it.
The wedding was in...
They had a Michelin star chef serving the food at the wedding.
Wow.
And more fresh flowers than I've ever seen. More than in that movie, Crazy Rich Asians. The wedding was absolutely insane.
Yeah. The wedding itself was actually in what's called the Lotte World Tower, which is the third or fourth largest tower in the world. So it was just finished 2019, I believe, by KPF, which is a pretty well-known architect. And the whole design of the tower was impeccable. Soup to nuts. The finishing, interior fit out was beautiful. Exterior was just really well done.
Approaching the trip, we knew about the wedding and we knew about Tokyo probably 8 months in advance. So we started researching right away about where can we eat, what should we eat. And naturally, we watched Jiro Dreams of Sushi on Netflix, documentary, just to give us a little taste of what it's all about. And we actually watched the documentary, and then as we finished it, our quest for the next 6 months would be, how can we get into this restaurant?
Wow.
How can we get in? So first, we're Americans. So I'm like, we'll just call Amex Platinum. They'll get us in for sure. So we call Amex, and they said that they would attempt to make the reservation. And shortly after, we get a phone call from a representative letting us know that they were yelled at and they were told never to call again, and that they don't take third party, any type of phone call like that.
Right.
So we're like, okay. So we started researching, and there's 2 different companies that do third party reservations because we don't speak Japanese. And you can pay a third party service to basically call on your behalf. Unsuccessful with both companies. So then we were like, we're staying at Aman, which is probably one of the leading hotels in the world. So we're like, let's lean on the concierge hardcore. Let's just ask for the world. And we did. We asked for about 5 different reservations for 5 different Michelin star restaurants, gave them parameters, any day, anytime, 2 people, see what you can do. And they delivered. I mean, staying at Aman was worth every penny if you're looking to get a reservation or into any coveted place. I mean,
we realized how
they got it done.
Their name carries a lot of weight, especially in Tokyo when trying to get reservations. So it helped us a lot.
Yeah, this third-party reservation thing is such a no, especially in Kyoto. So just a heads up, Kyoto is notorious for only accepting friends of friends. And you have to have someone pretty much vouch for you and bring you to that restaurant, your first attempt, and introduce yourself and show them that you are a grateful guest, and then you become part of their regular patron.
Totally. And that's what we learned with Jiro too.
Yeah. We can talk about the two restaurants we liked the most while we were there.
So first of all, because Aman made accommodations for us, every omakase we went to, they put us in the middle, facing right across from the sushi chef. Like the experience, like where we were sat was incredible.
Right.
But we really want to talk to you guys about our experience at Jiro, just because it's so controversial, actually. And so it was just such an experience.
Yeah, it was an experience unlike anything else I've experienced before.
Which seats were you seated at?
We were seated right in front of Jiro's son, Yoshi.
Okay.
So just for context for the listeners, Jiro was the first 3-star Michelin sushi restaurant in the world, and it was given in 2007. And then in 2019, very controversially, lost all of its Michelin stars when they removed public access to the restaurant. So we learned this the hard way, Nikki and I, when we were researching the restaurant and how to get into the restaurant. So that's why we had Aman help us. And
it was almost one of those so hard to get into that it made actually the journey of trying to get into the restaurant so fun.
That much more gratifying.
Yeah.
You climbed Mount Everest.
We did.
Jiro.
George knows everything about this stuff. Fun. So when you're talking about seats and things, he knows everything about this. So please.
Yeah. So it was, there's 10 seats in the whole establishment. It's in the subway station of Ginza subway stop, that neighborhood. And there was 18 courses, and we were in and out of there in 35 minutes, I'd say.
Right.
They sent us basically, it would appear it was like a contract that we had to acknowledge and abide by the house rules of Jiro. And the house rules, this is why it can be controversial, is because I wouldn't say it was an enjoyable experience, but definitely incredible in terms of eating. There is no talking, no film, no photography, not allowed to wear fragrances. You have to eat the sushi in one bite, use your hands only. If you did want to talk, it had to be whispering, and it had to be about the sushi.
It's like soup Nazi to the nth degree. This is nuts.
Yeah. And one of the wildest things is that they really believe in eating the sushi immediately after it's placed down, because they believe that it loses the air between the rice.
It compacts.
Yep.
And in addition, the rice is 98.5 degrees to match your body temperature as you eat it, which is, they say, one of Jiro's
principles.
Yeah.
Right. It's tenets in sushi. But did it just basically disintegrate on your palate?
It was the most incredible
it was like a cloud, right?
Culinary experience I've ever been a part of. The quality of fish was on. I'm so jaded now when we go to sushi restaurants. It's the highest quality fish. But the thing is, it was so many 18 different courses of different quality fish, but it was the highest quality of those different types of fish that I've ever had.
Yeah.
And the level of detail and rigor that goes into every single, even hand movement, putting the pieces of sushi on the rice and how they brush it and they serve it on the plate for you. It's everything from the visual interaction while he's placing the sushi on your dish in front of you, looking at you, making sure that you acknowledge his presence and the way he's giving you the food, and then you then acknowledging back to him and picking it up right away and eating it. And I think he thrives off of your reaction of the bite.
Yeah. And we were also in the documentary. It's really interesting. There's a whole politics behind the fish market.
Oh, so much politics.
No.
Yeah. So it was interesting to watch on the documentary, but then Ryan and I got to actually taste the fish, and it was amazing.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you went in September? So that is late summer, if not early autumn. And what were the highlights of the fish? What different types of protein were you given?
So we actually, the menu changes daily, and that's all based upon the fish that they're able to find the highest quality of that day. And when we were there, they gave us a menu, and then Jiro-san signed it at the end. But we can run through what was on the menu. It was 18 different courses.
Or like the highlights.
Yeah, the highlights. I love the Jack.
Go right through the whole thing because George is going to know everything. Let me just tell you now.
So, to start, we had the flatfish. So it's, George, forgive me if I'm pronouncing this wrong, but curry.
Oh, kare. Okay.
Kare.
Yep.
We had squid after that. Sumi
Sumika, yes.
Sumika. Striped jack after that. Shima aji. Semi-fatty tuna. Chutoro. Then the fatty tuna after that. Otoro.
Did he tell you where that tuna was from? Was it from like the northern island or?
No, he didn't.
No. Okay.
No one talked to us.
Yeah, for context, there was 2 other couples there next to us on either side, and that was it.
Oh.
No talking.
And
no talking.
Yeah, really no talking.
Oh, and then next we had the gizzard shad, which shockingly, I think that ended up being one of my favorites. I don't think I've ever had it. It was amazing.
Kohada, right? It's silver.
Yes.
Yep. So that's actually like a sign of a gourmand. When you go into a sushi restaurant, and you talk to the chef, and if you ask for the gizzard shad, the kohada, that's like a sign of, I want to know how good you are, because it's one of the hardest fish to prepare. And you get a really good sense of a Tokyo Edomai trained chef's skill with that gizzard shad.
Oh, that's so interesting. See, I didn't know that.
Yum.
He knows everything. He worked in restaurants in Japan for Michelin star chefs. George?
I've worked with, yes, but I'm also a enthusiast, if you will.
Oh, please, don't be so humble. He says this all the time.
I love sushi so much.
So I'm cooking pasta. He walks in, he looks around. He just, I can see the disgust in his face. I was like, what is he doing here? It's all over the place.
Do you remember in the documentary, Jiro, that the novelist or the journalist, like 3 signs of a great chef and just keeping things neat, tidy, your station neat? That's just one thing I want to get Steve into is have a clean workstation.
Yeah,
I think George you have to show the documentary.
We'll watch it together
about the cleanliness of the cooking area.
Yeah, that's key. Okay, so after the gizzard shad, what was next?
Abalone.
Oh, wow.
Abalone.
Okay.
Awabi. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. Then we had bonito, which is suo.
Katsuo, yes.
Katsuo. And then after that, we had clamshell. Hamaguri.
Hamaguri, yes.
Hamaguri. And then the jack mackerel, followed by tuna. And then
was this tuna now marinated tuna or unmarinated?
I think this one was marinated.
Yeah.
I think this one was marinated.
Makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
And then after that, we had the boiled prawn.
Okay. And he cut it in half, and you ate the head first, then the tail.
No, I think it was just the tail, right?
Yeah, just the tail.
Just the tail. Oh,
yeah.
No. Okay.
I think it was just the tail.
He knew you were American.
We had the uni. Yeah, he definitely did. We had the uni after that.
Okay.
The urchin.
Yep.
Baby scallops after that. And then salmon roe, followed by vinegared jack mackerel.
Oh, okay.
And then sea eel. And then to finish, we had tamago, which is the egg custard, egg tart.
And it was cut in half, but
it was
hanging on a thread.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cool.
But, yeah, it was that. So that's 18 courses. And then after that.
Oh, tell them the funny story.
You can tell them.
I guess you're really only supposed to eat sushi at the omakase counter. What they do there is they serve you a sweet melon for dessert, but they actually move
green melon.
Sweet green melon. They move you from the table, from the counter to a table to eat the melon. We had just taken down 18 courses in about 20 minutes, and we were just having a breath. And they said, okay, now you can move over to the table. But we were still just like taking a breath. And I guess we didn't move fast enough that we were told a little bit more aggressively, please now move to the table. Yeah. And it was, so when I say like controversial, not exactly enjoyable, it's so ironic because the actual food is.
I would say it was an uncomfortable dining experience, but the highest quality food that I've ever had.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So that part of it was very interesting to experience. But then So we finished up there, and I think the other restaurant that Nikki and I wanted to talk to you about was...
So let me just ask you a question before you move on.
Yeah.
So what did you do for the rest of the hour there? You were there, 35 minutes, you said? So what did you guys do the rest of the night?
We got a lunch. It was a lunch reservation. That was the best they could do. And then we just left and continued on with our day. And
the melon was delicious too, right?
Yes, the melon was delicious.
Oh, that was... Yeah.
They allowed us to take a photo outside the restaurant with
Yoshi.
Oh,
which
nice.
was cool.
Okay.
And we picked up he signed our menu, and we picked up like a book they had, which was cool. But yeah, I think literally from walking in to leaving, it was like max 35 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, what a factory.
Pricing was, I would say, around $350 ahead.
Good thing the dollar is strong, because that would have hurt even more.
Yeah.
Did you have sake with it? Did you have a beer?
We had green tea.
Green tea. Okay.
Yeah.
Was it fragrant or was it just bland? Because another thing about sushi is having bland tea is a thing. So it doesn't overpower and interfere with your sushi eating experience.
Yeah. It was very bland.
Yeah. Bancha.
So what actually happened is we weren't even sure if we could drink. So we followed in line with what the couple next to us did. So we were a little scared to disrespect anyone. So they had ordered tea. So we were like, we'll have tea also.
So with every bite, did you guys just look at each other and smile and then continue eating?
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was.
Yes.
George,
we were talking with our eyes.
That's fantastic.
With the other people there, were they Japanese or were they American?
They were American.
Huh.
They were also American, yeah.
So they figured they'd lump you guys all together.
No, there was one gentleman. Remember that one gentleman who was sitting next to us? And at the end of this tasting, he then leans in and says something to Yoshi. And Yoshi makes him another set of rolls that he just eats right in front. Like, I don't know what that was.
I feel like he must have been unusual because they were talking.
Yeah, they were talking.
Wow.
It's probably a businessman.
Something to that effect.
Yeah, but it's really wild. Nothing fancy, like Ryan said, in Ginza's train station. It was just
very nondescript. Yeah. You walk down the steps to get to your subway, and there's a little platform before that with this little wooden, I would say, soji screen that pulls back, and then there's this 10-seat omakase tasting room, and it's pretty incredible. But even getting to the restaurant was pretty interesting because our hotel wanted to make sure we would get there on time and make the reservation and be there, that they not only chauffeured us to the restaurant from the hotel, but they had someone from the hotel stand with us at the restaurant door waiting for us to actually get there.
That's omotenashi, which is a Japanese term for ultimate hospitality. But the thing is, they wanted to make sure you didn't mess it up for the future of their guests too, right? So they had to make sure and hedge their bet that went off without a hitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
That's great, though. You experienced one of
I'm jealous.
The 7 wonders of the world.
I'm jealous except for the scallops because I'm allergic, but I'm jealous.
That's so cool. All right, so what was the next restaurant that really made an impression?
We went to our first 3-star Michelin Ryugen.
Eugene?
Yes.
Okay.
But it actually wasn't our favorite. Our favorite overall sushi experience was Sushi Udatsu, which is a 1-star Michelin.
It's in Meguro City. Am I pronouncing that right?
Meguro, yes.
Yeah, Meguro City.
It's tucked away in a neighborhood.
Residential neighborhood.
What we found is we're not sure actually if our palates are just not as developed to really enjoy a 3-star Michelin. There's so much gastronomy and
flavor profile.
Yeah, playful things going on that it was hard to enjoy every single course. But at the 1-star Michelin, from atmosphere to the food to the drinks to the overall best experience, in a holistic view, it was Udatsu Sushi.
That's so awesome.
The way that the chef interacted with us, it was unlike anything we had experienced. And it was the last restaurant we went to before we left to go home. But it ended up being the best in our opinion because of the level of interaction that we got and the The quality of the food was excellent, we thought.
I think a lot of people do say that. And I agree that when you get to that 3-star, that's as high as it gets, right? People tend to play it safe, and they're not as adventurous, or like, they don't have the same fighting spirit in terms of gastronomy. And going to these 1-star, 2-star, where they're still hungry and they're still challenged, like they just pouring creativity and passion through every single aspect of the restaurant. I agree. Going to those 1 or 2 stars is perhaps more mind-blowing, more inspirational. But it's not to say I'm not taking anything away from a 3-star. Like it's the holy grail. But Tokyo, Japan, their Michelin system and New York City's Michelin system is very different. And that's a whole different episode that we can talk about. But wow, I'm looking at Udatsu Sushi on Instagram right now, and it's
like you
beautiful.
said before, fighting spirit, and you said different level of rigor. It got to the point where we finished paying, and the owner, Udatsu, walked us out to the street and found us a taxi cab to get into to go home.
Right.
And that at that moment, I was like, "That's it! Like that was the most incredible experience." Soup to nuts. That was you couldn't have had a better evening.
Plating, beautiful. The knife work. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, very artistic. I would say even almost a modern take on a traditional omakase. They used a hot stone to smoke or sear. It was like Wagyu.
I think it was Wagyu beef,
right in front of us, and it was very playful. And I would say
interactive. I'd say
very interactive with his sous chefs also that were helping him out. There was conversation, laughing.
You could tell it was a very structured environment too. Everything had a place, and every dish had timing to it, and so there was still a level of rigor. But I really appreciated the interaction that we got with the chef and the creativity.
How did you choose Udatsu? Was it on some short list, or was this a recommendation by the concierge?
It's a great question. So we had done, like we said earlier, we had done a bunch of research, a bunch of reading, watched some videos, and coincidentally or not, my favorite comedian is Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
And he had been there a few months prior and had said he had loved it. So we wanted to try. And so he...
Dave Chappelle.
It seemed almost like that maybe not known place, but actually is like super trendy or like on the rise with like celebrities might go there as.
But it's in a very nondescript building. There's one large square wooden door that slides open, and that's the entrance to the building. And it's 10 seats maybe inside. Very dim lit, modern stucco veneer on the inside and wooden table.
So he probably starts with like 3-4 different apps, bite like 1 or 2 bites, and then gets into the nigiri sushi, and then has a soup at the end.
He finished with the tamago. I know that, which was great. And
I don't know if we had soup, but
we did that. We did the tasting menu.
Yeah.
And like, how much did that go for?
I think that was a little. Was that more? That was the most expensive dinner. Was the Ryujin.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's I think was only $175.
It was. I think it was like almost $200 per person.
Yeah.
Okay.
USD.
Okay.
But that included also, we did the like that tasting that came with the menu.
You know what? I mean, it is a lot of money, but it is totally worth it, right? $200 to have world-class sushi.
Exactly. That's how we thought about it.
And it's the most natural tasting menu on earth. Each bite is giving you a whole different experience.
Yeah, it was. I think I also really liked Udatsu because there was some warm dishes in terms of you had the sushi, but you also had pieces of warm meat that really broke it up. I think for me a little bit because I mean we had been eating sushi, like eating our way through Tokyo with sushi, so it was nice to have some contrast, like tucked in between those pieces of sushi.
Mm-hmm. One of the most amazing things that I find with traveling in Tokyo or Japan is, you know, after having such wonderful high-end food, you can still have a great meal from a convenience store. Did you happen to get any food from convenience stores?
Yes, we did.
7-Eleven, our favorite. So the onigiri.
Onigiri, yes.
And then the tamago sandos there.
Yes.
Those two were our top.
Agreed. 7-Eleven is known for the rice dishes and then also their egg salad. But the Holy Trinity, right? You got 7-Eleven, you have Lawson's, and you have Family Mart. And these three compete on this major, I don't know, it's continental battle, right? Like they just constantly try to outdo each other.
It was
incredible.
It was amazing. I'm like in the airport and there's a 7-Eleven and I am eating the egg salad sandwich and I'm like, this is the best thing ever.
But you have a certain idea of what 7-Eleven is in the States and you just assume that it's going to be the same elsewhere and it's completely.
I saw a picture of George eating ramen from 7-Eleven or something like that when he was there. So
no, everything. The sandwiches, that tamago sandwich, the onigiris, the instant ramen packs that they have yearly contracts with. It's like this well-oiled machine that everyone from kids to old retirees go to. And they actually have this, I guess it's understood. They keep them open because of the retirees. They're not able to travel long distances. They're not able to cook for themselves. So these convenience stores, they're like the fabric of Japanese society. And I remember the Fukushima incident. The CEOs of these three major convenience stores had an emergency meeting with the prime minister, and they made a pact and a commitment to the Japanese public that they would have trucks delivering fresh food and supplies to all their stores so that people could continue living and make sure that they had water and food to get through the hard times.
Yeah. And we noticed those specific things and more were flying off the shelves. As soon as they would stock them, they'd be gone in 15, 20 minutes. And then it was pretty incredible to see the level of rigor and the way that they could replenish all this food so quickly. But the quality, too, was really unexpected, but it was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, that food science team is incredible in each corporate office. Yeah. Huh. Oh, that's so great. You got to eat the coveted egg salad.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was
amazing.
Huge hit.
Did you happen to go to a Family Mart and try their fried chicken?
No.
I don't think no, we did.
Fried chicken was on our list. We just never got to it.
Too many other yummy things.
We spent a month in Tokyo, honestly. There was so much to do, so much to see, so much culture.
At the airport, I was like making Ryan. The airport has a duty-free shop in...
Which airport? Narita or Haneda?
Narita, I think.
Narita? Okay. And that's also another conversation that everyone has is you get to Narita, it's not a bad thing to get there early because the food quality at the airport is another amazing thing to behold.
Oh my gosh.
We had no idea.
First of all, we went to the lounge that was there, which we actually paid for so we actually paid to get into the lounge to basically eat all of this amazing food.
Yes.
And then we spent quite a bit of money at the duty free grabbing all of these matcha desserts and all of these things. And we quickly learned that there's actually like an area that makes these displays of what's inside the boxes and the displays that you might see on the, like in street food. And they're these plastic, I don't know if it's plastic, but like these
They're
displays.
life scale models of what is actually inside the box, but it's non-perishable. So it's made of plastic and it's colored and
so you
it's
can
a real life.
So all these things are packed
example.
up, but if there's like matcha truffles, there's fake matcha truffles on display so you can see exactly what it looks like. It was incredible. It was probably the airport in itself was quite an experience.
It's like an amusement park, right?
It really is.
Yeah, definitely.
Another thing we didn't realize was everyone takes their jobs very seriously. It doesn't matter.
Right.
You know,
a lot of
how high up
pride.
you are.
Yeah.
We got into a cab and our taxi driver had white gloves on, a cap, and a suit and tie on. And it was just incredible to see that level of service.
And the cab is clean. It's so clean.
God. Oh. And it was so cool to see. They took these old, I think they were Toyotas, four-door sedans.
The retros, right.
And they retrofitted the interiors. So the interiors are modern, but the exteriors look like they're from the 1970s or something. It was so cool. And there's no handles. They open on themselves by themselves and close by themselves. And it was just such a cool experience.
Oh, that's nice. That's so nice to hear. It was a positive and just a great trip. I feel like we need to hashtag maybe the Japanese consulate's office and things like that and get this onto a more, it's great to hear. It's great to hear great stories when people travel and come back with great stories.
So you flew out of here? Where'd you fly into there?
So we actually were coming from Seoul. So we went from Seoul to Tokyo.
So you flew from here to Seoul then?
So it's actually, yes, we did. And then actually what's really interesting is it was like double the price to fly home from Tokyo. So we actually went back to Seoul and then flew home from Seoul.
Right.
And we splurged because at the time I didn't realize, but Ryan proposed on this trip.
Oh yeah, we didn't.
Congratulations. That's nice to hear.
So we'll get into that in a second. So when you...
But we flew a business class
Korean Air
on Korean Air, which is, again, could be a whole conversation about the food that we were served on Korean Air.
Bibimbap and
was incredible.
Maybe the best bibimbap you've ever had, right?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
So you're going to tell me what that is, or am I going to have to just fend for myself with the internet?
George, you could probably do a better job explaining it than I can.
You ever have the rice in a stone bowl with all the toppings on top and it's sizzling, and then you pour this gochujang, which is this like red chili paste, and then you mix it up and you break the egg and it's this glob, but it's ridiculously delicious rice dish? No, never. All right, so we'll have to remedy this and go have some Korean barbecue with bibimbap on the side.
It's a comfort meal for sure.
Okay.
And Ryan, like when everyone is sleeping, they have those like snacks that you can call for. I woke up to Ryan eating like ramen next to me in the middle of the night.
And it was amazing. She's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm having a snack, honey.
It makes the most sense. Like, why would I want a crusty sandwich when you fly United if you can have this delicious shin ramen on the plane, right? You just pour hot water. Just try not to scold yourself, but you're slurping away, and it tastes delicious. So there's definitely merit to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. A great trip.
You made the 15-hour flight go by a little faster.
Yeah.
That was what I was trying to get to before. 15 hours?
It's not so bad.
15 hours. Yeah. Long flight.
I don't know.
Yep.
They're also flying
Another
business.
thing we didn't realize is, I don't know if you've realized this, George, but Korean Air specifically, there's no Wi-Fi on their flights. I know this sounds trivial, but this is something that for whatever reason we thought it was a little weird, but they don't have Wi-Fi on their flights. And I asked my friend Manu, whose wedding we went to in Korea, why they didn't have Wi-Fi. And he said it's a cultural thing. Their culture there is surrounded by, if we can't provide the highest level of internet quality service on the ground, we can't do it in the air, we're not going to provide it at all. I thought that was interesting because if
you can't do it, don't do it. Okay.
Exactly. So it was interesting to hear him explain that in that way.
All right.
I agree. So, okay, let's get to it. How did this engagement come about?
So,
So she didn't know, right?
You can ask her that question. I don't know.
Did you know?
I had an inkling.
Wait, Nicole, raise your right hand. Do you swear to testify all the truth and nothing but the truth?
She wore a white dress onto the plane. And then after the fact, I'm like, honey, you thought I was going to propose to you in the airport? What do you think this is?
She was channeling Julia Roberts or something.
Yeah.
So how many people, Nicole, did you tell you thought you were going to get engaged? Let's get to the question. Your mom,
like 100
your
people.
grandma, everybody you know,
Yeah.
right? So how many texts did you get that said, did he do it yet? Did he do it yet? Did he do it
No,
yet?
so everyone actually kept quiet, which is, we had traveled we did the Korea part of the trip and nothing happened. So I'm like, is he really traveling with a ring? Because he hasn't given me one yet. So I was getting very confused.
How many days passed in Korea?
It was 5 nights, and then I proposed the first day in Tokyo.
Okay.
First evening.
So what'd you do? Carry that around in your pocket?
I kept it in the hotel safe that we were at, but it wasn't out of the norm for Nikki for me to do that, because every time we travel, I put my watch in there and then she puts her jewelry in there. But this time I only put my belongings in the safe, and she did it.
Nice.
It worked out.
Okay, let's cut to the chase. Tell me where, when, and how.
Okay.
We were checking in to the hotel, again, to Aman, which was absolutely insane. But the concierge was in on it the whole time. So at check-in,
great move.
They're reviewing with us all the reservations we made, all the appointments we made, right, as we check in. No mention of anything other than what I had planned, because I did a lot of the coordinating. And we check into the room, and I said to Ryan, our first dinner is not till 8 p.m. What do you want to do? We have a few hours. And then he said, actually, we have to be ready at 5. And I was like, wait, what's going on at 5? Where are we going? And he said, we're going to go do something fun. And then I was like, okay, this has to be it. And then I'm like, should I wear this dress or this dress? And one of them was white. And of course he chooses the opposite color. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what's happening.
I'm not a professional, so I don't know what I'm doing here. It's first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get ready. The car comes to pick us up.
Is that the ideal dress color to be proposed to?
In white, yeah, I was wondering that myself.
We don't know
myself. I never known that, and I'm an experienced person.
I didn't either.
Maybe it's just a me thing. I just wanted to be like wearing white.
Okay. I didn't know that was a thing. So go ahead.
So then we're in this car and we're headed.
The hotel picks us up?
Yeah, the hotel picks us up. We're in the car, and the car, I still don't know where we're going. And the car just stops in the middle of a bridge. And I was like, where are we going? And there's somebody from Aman standing on the bridge, which was like really, and I was like, wait, there's this whole setup going on. So then he opens the door, and then this guy from Aman walks us down these stairs. And there was a boat with tablecloths, champagne, flowers, with just the two of us. And to my surprise, we were going on a sunset boat ride on the Sumida River. Wow. So we're on the Sumida River, sunset. And Ryan proposed, but what I didn't know is that he had hired 2 photographers that were hiding inside the boat the whole time. There was like an inside to the boat, but the table was on the outside. So I didn't realize there was 2 people hiding in there. As he's proposing, 2 photographers just jump out of the middle of the boat and just start snapping photos.
Because I wanted to get like the human reaction, right? The timeless, candid shot of putting time in a photo.
Dude, you're no joke. I just want to put it this way. I don't know what you had in your mind and how long it took you to plan this. This was some escapade you planned here. I am totally in awe.
I'm a big fan of Ryan right now.
Ryan's the greatest.
This is fantastic.
Ryan and I hit it off the moment we met. Yeah.
And to put a little context, Sumida River is very historical. It's part of Tokyo Bay. It's in a lot of old folk songs and very touching songs in the history of Japanese music. Yeah, this is one of the most iconic and romantic things you can do to propose. Good job, man. Wow.
Thank you.
Keep going. Is there anything else we need to know? You didn't drop it in the water, did you?
No. So I tried to time it so the sunset I knew was at, I think it was like 5:33 or something.
Is he Jerry Bruckheimer?
He's just ridiculous. This is so ridiculous. So awesome. Over the top. Go ahead.
So the captain was going to give me the nod when he was going to rotate the boat around in a good place where the photographers could take the photo. I wanted the backdrop of the Tokyo sky tree, which is, for me, very interesting. I'm an architect, so it was interesting to have that kind of a backdrop for us. Engineering marvel, beautiful tower. We ended up going there later in the trip, but I wanted that in the background.
Wow.
As an iconic image for both of us to commemorate this. Yeah, and then at that moment, when I got the nod from the captain, I turned around and proposed to Nikki, and the camera guys popped out of the captain's chairs, and they were dressed as deckhands, actually. Yeah. And
wow.
That's why there's some photos of Nikki's reaction, like she's confused and crying a little bit. And
I'm confused myself. So wait, you got to send us some of these pictures so we can post them, because people aren't going to believe it. It's almost there's so many Seinfeld moments going on in this. And this. time period.
You
So
have to remember what I was nervous because there's so much coordination going on, and I thank God I leaned into the hotel and they owned the boat and they hired the right people to execute the job, not the job, but this moment perfectly. And I've never been to this country before. Neither has Nikki. We have really no context or understanding of how things operate. So that was a little nerve-wracking for me.
Yeah.
On this momentous occasion.
The hotel was so amazing. They literally had the photographers send them photos, which they then printed out and had it already framed in our hotel room by the time we got back.
Japan.
Oh my God.
It was, bar none. There was nothing they couldn't do and they didn't do. It was
When we got back to the room, not only was there photographs of us, but also the room was filled with red roses and it was really out of a movie. Yeah, it was pretty epic.
not for anything, Nicole. Nobody deserves it more than you.
Oh, thank you.
I second that, Steve.
Nobody deserves it more. I have tears in my eyes. You guys are killing me here.
Yeah, this is so nice.
It's unbelievable. You hear a lot of bad things in the world, and you hear a lot of people, how they're difficult, and I almost wish I was there. I would have ruined the moment, but I'm still in shock over it.
Yeah, now we're so happy because Tokyo now has a new meaning to us, and we can't wait to go back, and we've made such wonderful memories. Yeah. That now it just means so much more to us.
Oh, it'll always be there for you. This is so amazing.
Yeah.
But now it's memorialized in our podcast too. So
that's right.
Thank you so much for sharing. This is
absolutely
wonderful.
I am absolutely blown away. It's 100 times even. I knew it was going to be good, but the engagement thing just blew my mind. You know what? You wouldn't be able to do that anywhere else but there.
I think you're right.
You know what? You would never be able to have the faith that, other than Tokyo, or other in Japan, where it would be actually carried out.
Very few places could execute.
And there's no place in the world you're going to find a hotel that's going to do those things and take pride in doing it. And not only that, tie it up in a neat little bow, which is what they did.
Yeah. And there's only, I think, 80 rooms there. Mm-hmm. When we got back, everyone knew who we were. They knew our names. Every single day they were congratulating us.
Asking to see Nikki's ring. It was incredible.
It felt like they were family.
Yeah. It felt like we were the only two people staying at that hotel. It was a level of quality and service that
possibly honeymoon back to Tokyo.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, that would definitely be on the list for sure.
So,
our list of things to explore is so long there.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure. I'm always amazed. I see these videos of the billboards, the electric billboards that are 3-dimensional, come out and smack you. And there's so many things there. Everything is to the nth degree. And even if you ever see movies that are filmed in Tokyo and everything about it, it's just so culturally different than New York.
We landed at JFK and I was like, gosh, this is such a dumb. It's really.
It hits you, right? It hits you square in the face.
It hits you so fast.
Yeah.
So fast. So
and you
abrupt.
Smile and you chuckle to yourself oh, yeah.
How was the cab ride?
We're back home here. We're back.
Yeah.
So we're excited to go back. I think it was a trip that Nikki and I both looked at each other and said that was a very special place to both of us. And we consider ourselves pretty well traveled, and that was one where it satisfied almost everything that we could have ever wanted to do and see. But also the culinary impact was incredible.
You got quite a wedding to keep up with, your sister's wedding. Are there supreme wedding plans to go along with the engagement?
Yes. So we are getting married in Portofino Labor Day of next year.
Wow.
By the way, her sister got married in Seville.
Oh.
And it went on for, a week? I got so many, it was a difficult time for me, but I got so many begging phone calls from family members. Please come, come for a couple of days, please. And I wanted to, I just couldn't. But, wow, how wonderful that's going to be.
Yeah.
How did you pick that?
Another great question, Steve.
So on the plane ride home from Tokyo, I was like, okay, so where do you want to get married?
Something, if you didn't know about Nikki, she's an incredible planner, but she has a way about her where she jumps right into the next thing, and this is the moment to jump into.
I definitely know that about Nikki. Is that when we're at A, she's already thinking about B, and when A happens, B and C are next online. So, yes. Let me hear this conversation about how on the way home in the airplane that you have 15 hours to discuss this. The credit card bills hadn't even come in yet.
Nope.
I said to Ryan, where do you feel like we should get married? And he said, I just want to be by the water. That's really tough because I kept envisioning like a garden wedding. I really want like a garden wedding. And
she had all this time to envision.
Yeah.
15 hours to envision it.
Yeah.
So we start researching and we find our venue, which is called La Cervara Abbey. And it's right in between Santa Margherita and Portofino. And it is an Italian garden on the water. And it was literally the best of both of worlds for us. It's like gardens don't usually survive near the salt water. It's very unusual to see a garden like near at the ocean. It's funny because we found one and it absolutely thrives being near the water.
But it took our breath away when we saw it. It's elevated along the coast and architecturally beautiful. It is an abbey.
Built in the 1300s.
Yeah.
So it's very historic and it's just gorgeous.
It has a cloister, so it has a church. It has housing. But the gardens are what sold it for us, I think.
Super.
So.
And Portofino it's northern, I would take it?
Yes.
Genoa?
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
So known...
It's about 2 hours.
Known for the trophy pasta with pesto and their focaccia, and of course the Genoa salami.
Oh wow!
The prawn too, I believe.
And the red shrimp.
The red shrimp.
Oh.
There's a lot of good eating there too.
Perfect weather, perfect ocean view. You got the garden. Incredible, incredible.
We're really excited.
Yeah.
Wow. So this is in what season did you mention?
Labor Day.
Labor Day. So
September 1st, 2020.
Okay.
End of summer. It should we'll still have warm nights, but for us, we felt that everyone is traveling so far. We wanted them to be able to enjoy end of summer, beach, pool, still be warm enough to enjoy those things after making the trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a movie.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
So cool.
Not only that, they had photographers that dressed as seamen.
Right. Jumping out of camouflage.
They jumped out of camouflage.
Yeah.
Just as the sun was going down.
At the perfect moment.
Where's 007 when you need him?
I know. Ryan's going to plan some parachuting cameraman.
No, Ryan's going to be totally out of the loop on this mess.
Yeah.
Trust me, I know that team. He planned his one thing he was able to plan. The team is going to step in now, and they're going to wave him off.
Wow. I just love listening to your travel experience. I think this might be also become somewhat of a regular.
I agree. So every trip, every restaurant, we want to hear about your restaurants. We want to hear about, you obviously go to places I don't go. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, we love sharing, and we usually plan a trip a year. Obviously, we're focusing on the wedding, but yeah, we love to talk about. Yeah, Malta was next on our list. Island off of Sicily.
Because one of your best friends' husband is Maltese.
Yeah. Also, just like a road not traveled is not many people I know have
but
been
also
there.
melting pot cuisine too in Malta.
Yeah, Malta's a little bit different. It was real important during World War II for the control of the Mediterranean, as were other islands. There were large guns put on it that would prevent ships from coming through. Malta is where the big three met after they split up the whole Europe. So Malta's on the map, but my father spent a lot of time there, but he was in the Navy for 16 years.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, he was around the world 7 times.
Oh my gosh.
I know. He had so many stories I found out I had to ask him about. He had Errol Flynn he was in Nice, and Errol Flynn got married on his aircraft carrier.
What?
Oh my God.
Okay. So Errol Flynn bought alcohol for the entire, Errol Flynn being Errol Flynn, he bought alcohol for the entire ship. My father told me he was never so drunk as he was that night, as everyone in the whole ship. And my favorite story, I don't mean to get away from how beautiful yours was, but is I had to do a project. I was in 6th grade, and I had to do a project that I was building a pyramid like every kid does somewhere along the line. So we were studying Egypt, and my project was to build a pyramid. And I had bought paper mache and was making this wire thing and putting paper mache. But it was late. It took me all night to do. My father came home from work, and he said, I'll finish it. You go to bed. So he come home, and he builds this weird shaped pyramid. And I got up in the morning. I was furious. I was mad. Dad, you don't know anything about it, blah, 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 all this stuff. So I was like, mad. He never said a word. Years later, matter of fact, many years later, he may have already passed away. I was at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and I saw photographs of Egypt, and I saw the exact pyramid that he built. And I said to myself, you fool, he was in Egypt many times. The pyramid he built, he had stood by.
Right.
And I'm a dumb kid that saw it in a social studies book.
No, he didn't do it right.
Right. And what do I know? That was one of the many lessons my father taught me, even though he doesn't know it. So, anyway, having said all that, thanks, guys. Is there anything else you want to add in?
Any photos that you're willing to share with us? We would love to.
We will drop you a bunch of photos from the engagement, from the sushi places we went to, and any other significant photos from the
And now that we have a visual outlet, I think Steve worked to get our YouTube page going, and I think this might be an inaugural episode for it.
I could do a little bit of a collage. So anything you don't want out there on the internet, please let me know. And I can edit some stuff, but I'd love to do a collage to go with our podcast.
Fantastic.
Amazing. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks for sharing. This was great.
So I'm going to try to have this out tomorrow, because I say that I don't have any time, and then I become obsessed and I spend all night doing it. I'm going to try my best. This may be a little bit more difficult because there are 4 people talking, but my AI programs have gotten to the point that they recognize everybody's voices. They ask me who they are. And when they create a transcript, it knows who every person is talking. It's really quite amazing. I don't know if you ever read the synopsis that are on the podcast, but strangely enough, I don't write them. AI spends about 4 hours sifting through every word we spoke about and then writes the background to it. And I should tell people that I write it, but I don't. I change some things, but I don't necessarily do it in that way. Wow. I'm looking at your black and whites here.
Oh, he's sending them already.
Now, this is exciting.
I have to tell you, you look stunned, Nicole.
I was.
I don't know what to say, but stunned is the word. For a girl that wore a white dress 24 hours a day for the first 3 days you were there, you still look stunned. Beautiful, but stunned. And Ryan looks like, thank God, this is done. I've only been planning it around the clock for months.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll send some more of the food.
Okay. Thanks again. Thanks so much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
We appreciate your time. I know we've talked about it a lot. Thank you so much.
And we should have a meal together.
Yes, we're going to cook.
Yes.
So the thought process is 8 people, but you got to feed us too. So it's you 2 and 4 others.
Okay.
All right. And we'll figure out a meal. Give us some idea. We have some ideas.
Yeah, give us a theme or something.
Or
to
some
work
kind
with
of culinary things we have to watch or not watch or whatever you're looking for.
Right.
And we'll come up there and make it happen. And we'll try to have a one more time of your life kind of thing. All right?
That sounds fantastic.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys.
Have a good one.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Wow. What a whirlwind. That was incredible.
Was I kidding you?
Oh, my goodness.
Later, I'll show you the pictures of Seville, the pictures of her daughter, her sister's wedding. Just, it's going to be unbelievable.
Oh, that's great. And they sound so happy, and it's heartwarming. That's really cool.
Hey, at least these are the people I'm going to leave the world to.
Yeah.
Not that I have any control over it, but at least they're great. Ryan's, the day I met him, I said, oh my God, this guy's so perfect for Nicole. Wow. I'm a little blown away. So
I know.
that the whole conversation, because it was way beyond. I thought we were going to hear about a sushi restaurant. I didn't realize where they stayed, but I should have.
Yeah.
And
it's become this like cult following. There's guys on Instagram talking about, I've visited 19 different Aman resorts, and these are my top 3, top 5. And it's really a crazy following that they've created.
Service is everything in a world where there isn't any service anymore.
Yeah. It's slowly diminishing, but I think the top 5%, this is the top 1%. Who am I kidding? But this is the life.
This is the life.
Yeah. This was a amazing episode. I love it. This was great. Time flew. I'm looking at the clock. We're stamped.
Yeah,
almost double the amount of time we usually.
Usually we're hanging around 50 something, and now we're in an hour and 12. There are some parts that will be cut out.
Right.
But so, having said that, we're actually just, by the way, our sponsor, who I forgot to mention at the beginning, www.mypremiumbotanicals.com. Our new CBD gummies are out there. Please go on the website. Please order some. Please read about us. If you have any questions, email me or reach out on the website. We'd really appreciate it. We're going to post pictures. We also now have our YouTube channel, Studio. Our podcasts are going to be up on there, and we're going to start putting some videos and things. We're looking at some videos that we're going to start doing. They're going to be up on there too, some interviews. And we're also looking into and speaking with Franco, our last guest from last week, about doing a regular podcast, most likely video, on travel or food or many of the things we spoke about. George?
Yep. Can't wait to have Franco back. The world of knowledge with Italian cuisine is unparalleled.
Yeah.
I want to geek out with him even more.
It's ridiculous. So at least today was Japanese. So you were in your wheelhouse. I didn't know if they realized that
Steve, I'm a simple enthusiast.
I know, but you have experienced and you knew what they were talking about, even though they didn't know what they were talking about. You knew the kinds of fish, the kinds of sushi, whatever. So having said that, I think it's time to say goodnight.
That's right.
So good night, George. Thank you for everything.
Thanks, Steve, as always. And stay tuned for more of Better Life with George and Steve.
That's right. Lots of different avenues. Thank you very much. And away we go.